Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to Energy Speaks Back, powered by B2B Energy. My name is Paul Webb, I'm the founder of B2B Energy and I'm also your host. Welcome to B2B Energy Training. Our purpose as always is to provide a good understanding of energy management knowledge from around the world, which is available today for us to deliver savings that impact on our planet. This is episode number 1, Combined Heat and Power with Martin Wager. Good afternoon, Martin. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Paul. Yeah, very good, thank you.
Brilliant. I'd like to just introduce you, Martin. You're from Centrica, and we're going to be talking about CHP today, Combined Heat and Power.
Yep. So
for the benefit of our audience, the people going to be listening to this, I would like to know your background and your origin story.
Okay. Well, at the moment, I'm Senior Business Development Manager for Centrica Business Solutions. Started my working life at East Midlands Electricity many years ago. So I've always been in the energy and power gen business. Moved into CHP just about 20 years ago now. So got a lot of experience and seen the changes through engine efficiencies and energy costs. So it's been an interesting ride, really.
And probably the last 12 months has been the most interesting, do you think?
Yeah, without a doubt, certainly with energy costs. I mean, energy costs now they changed so drastically. Just to give you an example, we've been looking at a project that the annual spend of the particular customer is £9 million a year. By installing a CHP, they're going to save about 30% of that.
Wow.
So, it's big money, really big money. Okay, it's a big industrial customer. But pro rata, that's what's happening at the moment.
Quite a few times in this conversation, Martin, we've mentioned the word CHP.
Yep.
So for the reason for this recording really is for us to understand what CHP actually means. So what does CHP mean?
Right, well, CHP is Combined Heat and Power. That's what it stands for. Predominantly it is an engine, reciprocating engine in most cases, although you can get a turbine, but we deal purely with reciprocating engines, so it's a bit like an engine you'd have in your car. And what happens is the power is generated through an alternator, so that's where the power is derived from, and then the heat is then through heat recovery from the exhaust gases, and also heat that's generated through the jacket and the oil that's in the engine block itself.
And obviously we're taking a fuel in, different variations of fuel.
Yep. So fuel-wise, we can look at natural gas, we can look at LPG, we can look at biogas. So biogas is generated from things like anaerobic digestion, so that would be food waste, animal waste. So they're probably the three main ones, but now what the new kid on the block, you might say, is hydrogen. And we'll perhaps cover that a good bit in the future when we talk about the future and where we're going with hydrogen.
And for me, the most important thing there, you've got, and I call it the spark rate, which is the terminology we would use. Can you explain about the spark rate?
Right, so spark rate, spark gap, there's two things really, the spark gap and spark spread. And essentially that's the difference between gas price and electricity price, or the prime fuel price and electricity price. And typically to generate 1 kilowatt of electricity from a CHP, you would need 3 kilowatts of, let's say, natural gas, and then obviously you then also generate heat from that. So if you've got a spark spread, so a ratio of 3 or more, then you will make savings with CHP. At the moment, spark spread is all over the place. If you've got a very good gas contract, you could be paying 2-3p for your gas, but your electricity could be 30, 40, 50p. So there's some big differences at the moment, and that, as you said earlier on, Paul, is what's happened in the last 12 months, really.
Yeah. So the important thing really is for us to drive that gas price down.
Yep.
Reflected of the electricity prices, which is normally higher, but naturally gas prices do sort of electricity prices are followed by the gas price, aren't they? They do track each other.
Yeah, they do track each other, and generally the spark spread has normally been, 3.5 to 5 to 1. But as I say, now you're getting massive spark spread. But I think that will settle down probably over the next few years.
Yeah. What are the benefits of installing a CHP?
Right. So the benefits, I think what we have to go back is to look at what a combined heat and power unit is doing, and as I said before, that's generating heat and power. But if you want to generate heat and power from conventional means, then that is done through a power station and typically a boiler. So if we take the power side first, for 100% energy that goes into a power station, you get around about 40% of it turned into electricity. The rest is waste, goes up the cooling towers and through radiators. For the heat, then you'd use a boiler. So you've got 100% energy going into the boiler. From that, you get around about 80% heat and 20% waste. So overall, you're looking at around about overall efficiency of sort of 45 to 55%. With a CHP, you have one fuel going into it at 100%. You then convert around about 35% of that into electricity, 45% of it into heat, and 20% of it into waste. So typically, you would then get 80 to 90% efficiency, depending on the type of prime mover and the particular engine that you're using. So you jump from 45 to 55% through conventional means, up to 80 to 90%. So it's quite a big jump in efficiency.
Yeah. And where is the best place for us to be looking to put in the CHPs? Away from looking at the spark spread. Obviously, sometimes that generates the best place to put them. But, ideally, where should we be looking to put this application?
I mean, typically, where it's been very popular is things like hotels, leisure centres, food industry. We're doing a lot of work with the food industry at the moment. And that's probably something I should say is that we can, apart from just generating low temperature hot water from the CHP, if we split the circuit between the exhaust and the jacket, we can use what we call a waste heat boiler, and we can actually generate steam. And the food industry and industry in general use a lot of steam, so we can split that up. I suppose the other areas is health. Do a lot of hospitals. So I've said what food industry, health, leisure, hotels. We've also in the past we've done a fair bit with things like farms, etc., because they can produce their own gas, which I touched on, biogas, and they can then obviously in effect get a free fuel and generate both heat and power from that.
And when I look at my beginning of my career and where we used to focus, if you had a swimming pool, great, because we needed somewhere to get rid of that heat.
Yeah.
But now there's not so much ownership of that, because that's when originally the CHP was thermal led.
Yeah.
But now we're either thermal led or power led, which we're finding.
Yeah, and I think more and more it's being looked at power led because the savings are from electricity.
Yeah.
Because electricity costs are so high, and so a lot of installations now are electrically led, and basically you use what heat you can, but you can still maintain full electrical generation by using a radiator to basically spill any heat out to atmosphere, but still getting a money benefit from it all.
Yeah. What are the benefits? We touched on the benefits now.
So the benefits from CHP are obviously cost savings. You've got better efficiency, so you're generating power at your site. You've got the efficiencies because you're not only generating electricity, you are recovering heat, so you've got those efficiencies. I suppose that they're the two main benefits really. It's cost saving and efficiencies in converting a primary fuel into a usable fuel for both heat and power.
And it's also power certainty going forward. Being able to rely on that energy.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, with a CHP generally will run, let's say, 15 to 20 years. By putting a CHP in, okay, you're exposed a little bit to gas prices, but that as long as the gas prices are maintained at a level well below electricity, which they will be, it does mean that you are minimising your risk to exposure to electricity costs.
And the important thing there is to ensure that you have a buying strategy for your energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And keeping an eye on that.
Yeah.
You can't. Yeah. I'd done a famous presentation to the CHP Association for 2010, and I called it CHP isn't just for Christmas. We've got to, and I'm going to go on to this about maintain, very important. We can't just put these in and walk away.
No, they've got to be maintained properly.
Got to be maintained. You've got to have a strategy around them.
You have, and it as you say, it's not just for Christmas. It is a long term either investment if you're going to put your own capital into it, or what we will do through Centrica is we can finance projects whereby we do a turnkey installation, and we then charge you for the electricity that we generate, and then you can use the heat, wherever you want. You pay for the gas going into it, so compared to a capital option, you'll save less money, but it means you've had no investment.
Brilliant. I was going to touch on the funding and how we go about funding that, because your funding model, basically you would just walk in and take over the project, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you plan, design, implement.
Absolutely, and maintain it, and all the operation and maintenance is included if we fund it. If you buy it yourself through a capital means, then we would normally attach an O&M contract, which typically would be 10 years, up to 15 years.
Now, putting a CHP in, we do see a carbon footprint reduction, but overall it's not great going forward. So the net zero pathway, does this play a part in the future?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, apart from some of the green gases that you can get through various means, it is a fossil fuel that goes into the CHP. We're working, all of our new CHPs from now are basically hydrogen ready, which means they can either run on a hydrogen mix up to 40%, or ultimately they will be able to run on 100% hydrogen. So that, I think, will be the future for CHP. Obviously at the moment the infrastructure is not there, so you either have to manufacture hydrogen on your site, import it in form of tankers and store it. Ultimately, I think there will be hydrogen grids, and we're working with a couple of areas on that at the moment, because Centrica, obviously, apart from where I work, Centrica Business Solutions, do have an interest in gas, but also in producing and looking at hydrogen grids and moving forward with hydrogen.
Is there talk about green gas at all? I know we did have a mix of that, didn't we?
Yeah. Green gas is where gas is generated from a renewable source. So things like biogas can be classed as a green gas at the moment.
And we blend it in with the existing natural gas, don't we? Or we have done.
It is, yeah. You can get green gas certificates, which means that those certificates guarantee that there is green gas put into the grid of so many kilowatts on your behalf in effect. And
it's the same as electricity, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, same as when solar electricity is put into the grid, or indeed wind. That's obviously classed as green energy, and that's the reason why the decarbonisation of the grid has dropped.
What do we need to be looking out for with existing systems going forward now?
I think the future of CHP will ultimately be a green fuel of some sort, typically hydrogen, or indeed biomethane. I think that they're a long-term investment, as we've said. Some of the units that we've installed since around about 2019, certainly on the larger installations, we can convert those to hydrogen as well.
Right. And is that a big job?
What normally would happen is you would wait until there was a major top-end overhaul to be done, and then it's a case of changing
so the footprint doesn't change?
No, it's just an internal modification on the engine.
Right.
Yeah, and also you'd probably need to look at the gas train as
well. So it's, in my books, it's future-proof then going forward?
Yeah, I mean, what we're saying now is that, certainly with all the CHPs of all sizes moving forward, they are future-proofed because they can run on hydrogen. Brilliant. And I think that will happen. It's just whether it happens 5 years' time or 10 years'
exactly.
time. Yeah.
How many, $1 million question, how many CHPs are in the marketplace? Not just Centrica, but overall. Have you got any ideas of that number?
Not off the top of my head. I mean,
is it significant?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got an agreement with a company called 2G. 2G manufacture for worldwide distribution, and they do around about 900 engines a year.
Right. And how many in your portfolio currently?
We've got operational. I mean, operational. There's probably around about 900, something like that.
Right.
Probably operational. Overall, we've produced well in excess of 3,500 over the last.
Because there's a lot of CHPs that sit in there, have gone through their contracts now.
There are, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and people that have business changes and things like hotels and leisure centres, and they renew, and I can think of one hotel group that's now on their third generation of CHPs. So they've probably had CHPs for the last 20 years.
I have a famous story. I was in Dundee in a hotel, and we was walking around, and we found this plant room, and this guy said to me, no idea what's in that plant room, and it had a padlock on it. And I said, so we break the padlock off? And he went, do you know what, I'm going to. We broke the padlock off. It was a brand new CHP, never been run, and it was your CHP, combined energy.
Yeah, I mean, things like that have happened when people. I suppose historically it was people didn't understand what it did.
Yeah.
And it might have been installed by a contractor or as part of a new build, and then it was just forgotten about, which is a shame, really.
I want to put a thing in here about what I feel CHPs and how they should be managed. I feel by engaging people like ourselves to work with the client, with yourself, to sort of just provide that glue and make the whole complete journey seamless. And I think by doing that, we've actually seen the technology evolve. Yep. We've seen the savings, and we're now looking to the future within this contract period regarding pathway to net zero, and also growing with the organisation, because the organisations they grow.
Yep.
And it does make a big difference by just all work. My favourite word is collaboration, and I think that's very important regarding technology.
I think really, and I think certainly in my 20 years I've seen engine efficiencies increase all the time, and I always say it's a bit like if you had a 2-litre car 20 years ago, it would generate 140 brake horsepower. Now it could be anything from 250 up to 300 brake horsepower or more.
Yeah.
So engine suppliers and manufacturers have constantly strived to get better efficiencies.
Yeah. Martin, thank you very much for just opening the story up of the CHP, combined heat and power. We really appreciate your time, and we look forward to hearing some more about this technology. So thank you very much.